Let's go live to Joe Khalil. Joe, Trump had some harsh words there for the UN. I think we all expected it, but things didn't seem to go too well.
No, maybe not even to the extent that we saw. I think it was a little surprising, Brian. That was a theme throughout the speech, was criticism of the UN itself. President Trump at one point questioned what the purpose of the UN was at all. He also basically said he feels the UN has been totally ineffective in preventing or stopping wars. He says that they have been complicit in mass migration, not just in the U.S. in terms of the southern border, but in Europe. And then he slammed them for embracing climate policies that try to push back against climate change. So there was a lot there. Now, at the end of the speech, he ended up speaking with the Secretary General of the UN and sounded a lot softer in his tone. He said that actually the U.S. supports the UN, but in the speech, the words really harsh there. Obviously, on the policy and on the world affairs, he touched on a lot. And obviously, there was a lot on Russia and Ukraine. But it was a warning. It was also a criticism to the U.S.'s own allies in Europe, and particularly those NATO nations. The president says, look, the U.S. is ready right now to levy serious tariffs and sanctions on countries that are buying Russian energy and propping Russia up, but not until our European allies and our NATO allies cut their dependence on Russian oil and gas. And this is what he said here.
China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. But inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves.
He also talked quite a bit about Gaza and Israel, and he says there needs to be a ceasefire, but that it cannot come unless there's a release of hostages. He also criticized American allies who have come forward and supported a Palestinian state, saying that, in his view, that only empowers Hamas. This is what he said there.
We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities.
And Brian, he struck a more positive tone talking actually about the U.S. There was quite a bit of domestic policy in that speech as well, clearly aimed for a domestic audience, which was also at the very beginning of his speech as well.
I know, obviously, a lot going on there, so much that impacts the whole world, but I can't help but keep thinking back to, like, Escalator Gate, Joe. I mean, because it was caught on video, and then the teleprompter also not working. I mean, are they looking into this? It doesn't seem like it could possibly be a coincidence.
Yeah, it was one thing after another. I think he handled the teleprompter thing well. It was a joke, and he started reading. The White House press secretary, Brian, Caroline Leavitt, actually did pose a question asking whether there was something nefarious going on, particularly with the escalator. The timing there, it does raise some questions. Literally the moment that you see Melania Trump, First Lady, get on, it stopped. There's some reporting from the Times of London that there were staffers at the UN joking over the weekend that, as sort of a payback to President Trump, who has been critical of the UN, that they would specifically mess with the elevators. Now, NewsNation has not confirmed that reporting. Again, comes from the Times of London, but it was enough for the press secretary here at the White House in Washington to at least raise the question and say, if there's any evidence of that, then somebody deserves to be fired. So, at the end of the day, the president got a couple extra steps in, which is good for all your health. I encourage everybody to take the stairs when you can. And, he had the prompter thing, too. So he was obviously not happy about it, just by virtue of the fact that he mentioned it in the speech 2 or 3 times, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame him. Listen, I've been on the airport before when you're on the escalator, at least he wasn't on it yet, but when it suddenly stops, it can really jolt you. So I guess it could have been worse. Thankfully, it wasn't actually moving when that happened. All right, Joe, thank you so much, live from the White House.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.